Well, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. I had the privilege of being in that gubernatorial debate 4 years ago, sitting in almost the exact same seat. I am a pastor. I was just sharing earlier with some folks how I left Troy State, which is now Troy University, in 1987 because I was living in sin and drugs and alcohol and all those things. God got a hold of me and got me to turn my life around, stop all that stuff, give my life to Jesus, and shortly thereafter, He called me to be a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I have been preaching since then. That was when I was 19 years old. I just turned 58. I have been in the Middle East. I've been on the little island of Mauritius. I've been to Africa, Nigeria. I've preached all over the United States. I'm a researcher, I'm a student, I'm an author of 4 books. As many of you know, last time I ran for governor of Alabama, not really because I wanted to. When I saw what I thought to be a conservative, and let me just say right now, there's a lot of so-called conservatives, claim to be conservatives, and they do a few conservative things, but they're not really full-blown, true Republican, true conservative politicians and Christians, for that matter. And when I saw that out of Kay Ivey, our governor at the time, still governor, it seems like it'll never end. It's true. But when I saw her shut down businesses and churches and schools during the COVID-19, even though we had a treatment, that was a clear violation of the First Amendment. When churches were ordered how they were going to have their services or to shut down, I refused. And I realized that too many of us were asleep. We were allowing somebody, just because they had an R beside their name, to violate our First Amendment. Of course, then I learned about, from President Trump, the hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin treatments, saved my life, saved many people's lives. But I saw our state government, all led by Republicans, who claim to be Christian, claim to be conservative, do nothing while over 20,000 Alabamians died. And to me, that was not acceptable behavior on behalf of politicians. And it's not always what a politician does, the window dressing, the polishing the brass on a sinking ship. It's what they don't do. We do not have secure elections. We do not have our education system fixed. We do not have our economy here fixed. And there's some simple plans. And I'm really the only one who for the last 4 years has put forth plans to truly deal with the election security issue by getting rid of the machines and going to paper ballots and hand counting only. That's the only way to secure our elections. And also, to deal with the problem of our economy, we've got 800 trillion cubic feet of natural gas that we're not drilling for. There are solutions, and I'm not just about preaching the gospel as a pastor. I am about fixing the problems of Alabama when these career politicians haven't fixed them, and some of them have had decades to try to do it.
Thank you. Dean, many candidates talk about growth, but we believe state leadership should focus on liberty. Which state agency or program do you believe is the most redundant and would be your first target for elimination?
The most redundant. There's so many of them that are redundant and useless. I think we could really trim back the whole State Department of Education. I think that's overbloated. I had a plan that I put forth when I was running for governor that we could do a full school voucher program, and by doing that we pay about $12,000 per child now. That tax money does not belong to the state, it belongs to the people who paid those taxes and to their children, and the money should follow the child. And one of the areas, if we did that and we actually let the free market take over and not try to control that, we would see the free market and capitalism, true capitalism, take over and make the good schools better, and the bad schools would not be rewarded and would morph into a better system. And then you could do away with the whole we just have bloated salaries of these state and county school boards that we don't need. Because if you put a board in a school of, say, parents and the administration and let them control what goes on in that school, the curriculum, how the finances are paid, how the teachers are paid. You let that be done at the local level, then we could cut out all of that money that just goes down the tubes in education. Because what we should have known over the years, we've thrown money at education, and yet we're still ranked toward the bottom. I know that there's some politicians now trying to say that we've moved up into the 30s, but no, we're still down into the 40s of the 50 states. So that's an area I would definitely cut back on and change and turn back to the free market, because I do believe in freedom of choice. And you can't say it's school choice if only a certain amount of people get to choose.
Dean, how can we reform the Board of Pardons and Paroles so that we can ensure the public safety and the rights of victims are prioritized over the convenience or growth of the prison system?
Well, that right there comes down to really who you vet and who you put in charge. We had Governor Ivey put in charge, and I can't remember the name of the gentleman, but he'd never run a prison before in his life, and he was in charge of the prison system. To me, that doesn't make any sense. You have to find people who know what they're doing and who have done it and proven that they've done it well. I would say, too, we need to stay away from privatizing the prisons, because then you get into incentivizing putting people in prison. Another thing that I would like to do, I'm not pro legalization of marijuana, but I am pro taking down some of the, I guess you'd say, the severe penalties. There's some people in prison that shouldn't be there just because over a marijuana charge, per se, that they're taking up space. And as long as they haven't committed a violent crime, they need to be out. So there should be some principles there where we start taking the burden off the prison, but we've got to do a much better job at vetting everyone from the warden down. I mean, from the head of pardon and paroles down. These people have to be principled people, moral people, good people, that it's not just about the money, and the fact that, too, that, you know, and it's hard to find, but finding people that aren't corrupted by money and, you know, making deals with folks. And that's one of the great problems we have. You know, our founding fathers said that if Americans ceased to be a moral people, the republic would fail. And that's really the biggest problem within the prison. If you have a corrupt warden, you have corrupt guards that make deals with the prisoners and things, that's why the system falls apart. So it's really about vetting, super vetting, and getting the best people we possibly can, and staying away from the privatization of prisons.
Dean, what legislative measures would you support to give parents more control over the data mining and algorithmic targeting used by big tech companies against Alabama's youth?
Well, I think that one's real simple. I think the legislation that was attempted to be passed last year trying to, just for instance, put blockers on pornography for children on their devices and making it state law, I think that's a very important issue right there. You know, there's a lot of things, though, that, you know, the state government and the federal government cannot legislate all the way down to the household. It has to be in the household. I am surprised, to tell you the truth, I'm shocked that both the federal government and the state government, with our resources, can't find some of these sites that are so terrible and put a block on them and stop them. You know, recently there was a hacker on Sean Ryan's show that talked about where he hacked into a pedophile site that had 7,000 names, and he took them to the FBI, and the FBI did nothing. And this is a big problem we have. We have a lot of people that, you know, we try to stop a lot of this stuff. We try to report this stuff. We try to help save our kids from these things. But then we reach in, the government does not tend to help us. So what I plan to do as part of the Lieutenant Governor's office on my own dime, one of the things I've been discovering is I've been traveling the state now. When I was running for governor last time, 80,000 miles for 2 years. Now this time running for lieutenant governor. When you run for office and people believe that you're honest and you're true and your heart's in the right place, they start telling you the nightmares. And for instance, the nightmares, people have been coming telling me how DHR and the system is taking their children away, and they don't have a right to do that. And there's even some parents with court documents that say they did nothing wrong, and yet they can't get their kids back. Some of the kids in the Bibb County dungeon were in foster care. This is an area that we have got to tackle with everything that we have, and we've got to stop this and truly protect the children. So what I want to do in the office of the Lieutenant Governor's office, with the salary I make as Lieutenant Governor, take that money and begin to fund an Office of Justice to allow parents and Alabamians with complaints to come in, tell their stories, pay for lawyers, pay for counseling, not on the state's money. Start raising money to do that. Because what I found out the other day from the Attorney General's office is that they're the lawyer for DHR, so the parents can't turn there for help. So that's one of those areas though.
Dean, conservatives have long resisted the expansion of Medicaid as a fiscally irresponsible growth of the welfare state. What market-based alternatives will you propose to increase rural healthcare access without increasing taxpayer dependency?
Yeah, we don't need to depend on the federal government for things. We don't need to depend on the state government for things. Simply, one of the things when it comes to healthcare and the rural problem with the rural hospitals closing is that there's these things now called OnMed, CareMed. There's these basically virtual pods that can be set up for relatively cheap and not having to build a hospital and staff a hospital that can take care of a lot of things. And we have one of these in Lafayette, not too far from Opelika where I live. So those are some of the areas where we see like Auburn University is involved in that, and so you can get a lot of private funding, and a lot of people would be into that without having to raise taxes. And let me say, I am adamantly against raising taxes. If our state government has a surplus, that means they've taken too much of our money, and we need to find ways to get it back. Now, my colleague down here, when he got asked a question about taxes, he went to cutting wasteful spending, but he voted to raise the gas tax when he was in the legislature. So this is the thing that I'm talking about. I have conservative principles. I will never raise taxes because the conservative principle, the platform of the Alabama GOP, is to lower taxes, not ever raise taxes. Now, yes, cutting spending in every area we can is good, but let's for instance, we've got a rural hospital crisis, right? Hospitals are closing, we've got these healthcare deserts, and yet our legislature voted to spend $400 million building a new state house, a new palace for themselves. This is the kind of crap that's got to stop, and it's not going to stop with career politicians. It's going to only stop when you start voting in regular Alabamians who are not playing the game and trying to climb the ladder. That's the only way it's going to stop. Principled, moral people, not double-tongued, politicians.
So would you like to respond to your vote on the gas tax? 1 minute.
This is a serious position that we are all up here competing for, asking for your vote to be the next Republican Lieutenant Governor. I'm not going to respond to Mr. Odle's nonsense. I'm not going to respond to his nonsense because he lost all credibility when he stated that the earth is flat. Let the record reflect. And it is
Oh, he said my name, so I get a minute, right? He said my name.
The record is clear. The earth is round. Elections are secure.
Would you like to respond to the gas tax?
Did you raise it or not? Did you raise the gas tax or not? Yeah. Yes or no?
The audience is here to experience this in silence. Thank you.
I should ask the question.
See, you do not wish to respond.
I'm responding.
Oh yes, I'll respond.
1 minute.
1 minute. I am a biblical flat earther, meaning I believe the Bible. That's what the Bible teaches. I'm a Hebrew cosmologist. That's what I believe. Now, Mr. Allen wants to bring into this my religious beliefs, and he claims to be a Christian. But the only problem here is I believe more of the Bible than he does. And but that's not the issue today. See, he's doing this to deflect from the fact that he voted to raise your taxes. He doesn't want to address the actual thing that he did as a politician, as a career politician. And so I think you just need to take that into consideration. Article 6, paragraph 3 of the Constitution says there is no religious test for someone that's going to be in office. It's not about my religious beliefs, but it's about how you have been as a public official.
On that note, we're going to move on to the lightning round, which is perfect timing. It's supposed to be fun and a little like party. So hopefully everybody will smile and laugh a little bit. Really simple, y'all each have a whiteboard. Hopefully you can see it, but we're just gonna ask really simple, some might even be a little silly. Just go with it. We like to see the human side of our potential lieutenant governor.
Well, first of all, you should know that experience as a politician doesn't make you a good one. President Trump came in, has probably been the best president we've had since Ronald Reagan, and I think a better president than Ronald Reagan. Why? He wasn't a politician. He didn't come in to play the game. He came in to fix problems. He came in to be a disruptor, a wrecking ball. I think that's really the answer here in Alabama as well. We don't need people who play political games, raise your taxes, then say they're conservative. We don't need people who want to make a political debate a theological debate. We need people who are going to be leaders. And what leaders do is leaders look ahead and see the problems that are going to come down the road and prepare for them then. Leaders are people who are bold enough to stand against both the federal government, the media, even our own party at times. We have to take a stand for what's right and not just what's Republican. President Trump has done that. He has a whole group of Republicans that hate him, that fight against him. I am that type of person in Alabama. I am a true blue Republican, a true blue Bible-believing Christian. I have over 38 years of ministry, sermons, books that I've written that prove where I stand on every moral issue. I will never compromise what I believe to be the truth of God's Word. I will never compromise the Constitution of the United States or the rule of law. We do have serious problems with our elections. We have serious problems with our education system. We have serious problems with our child protective services. These people that have been in power, been in offices in our state, have had opportunities to fix these things, and they fixed nothing. So if you want a Trump, if you want a disruptor who will understand the real issues that we're facing and fight them and never back down, even in the face of death threats, or in the face of opposition from both Republican and Democrat, I will never compromise, and I will always be there to do what government is supposed to do. Protect you, your health, your life, and your God-given freedom. So on May 19th, I think there is only one choice if you want a disruptor, and that is vote Dean Odle on May 19th for your next Lieutenant Governor. Thank you.
Okay. Let's talk about